Welcome back to the Team to Beat Miami Heat podcast, your one-stop shop for daily Miami Heat content. My name is Amir. For today's episode, we got David back on the program. You can find David at Playbook Sports. Thanks for hopping on, David. It's good to see you again.
Appreciate it, Amir. Hope you're doing well. Glad to see you on the pod again. Can't wait for the episode.
Yeah, man. So I wanted to bring you on because we all know that the Miami Heat have missed out on Kevin Durant for, I believe, the third time since 2016. I think we have tried to acquire him in 2016, 2022, and then again this year, and we failed all three times. Two of the three times, though, he said Miami. Like Miami and Phoenix were his two destinations in 2022. He obviously went to Phoenix. This season or this offseason, he said three teams mainly: Houston, Spurs, the Miami Heat. Ended up on the Rockets. And my question to you is, how big of a failure is it that the Miami Heat missed out on Kevin Durant? Like, are you upset or disappointed? Did you want Kevin Durant or did you not? Like, what are your feelings about the whole Kevin Durant saga?
When you have a bottom 10 offense for a decade, you need some reassurance every offseason that you're going to improve in that department. And that's where obviously the hope of getting a guy like Kevin Durant comes in. Like, you hope it happens, but the fact that it didn't happen, for as long as I've watched this team fail at getting him, when it came around like this time to actually that he was actually able to be acquired, possibly, I just kind of go back to the saying that I had the last time we missed out on him, and it's death, taxes, and missing out on Kevin Durant for the Miami Heat. Those are literally like three things in life so far that have just gone the way that they have for like me as a Heat fan, that I just like seen throughout this entire tenure for Miami, these last 5 years. And just being able to try to acquire a star like Kevin Durant at this point in time, like, no one knew what Jimmy was going to do when he came here. We didn't know he was going to blossom into what he did when he came here, but we are obviously glad that he did do what he did. But at the end of the day, when you're trying to move on and you're trying to continue to remain competitive, obviously, it's hard to, call on a 37-year-old to, take on that load for you guys. But at the end of the day, he's one of the top scorers of all time. He's going to go down as one of the greatest scorers of all time. You can debate it if you want, the greatest scorer of all time. But it's just, it sucks. You just miss out on him once again, and the sense of direction you're looking at is very bleak.
Yeah, I wanted him. Like, if he qualified, which I feel like they shut him down a little early last season after he got his ankle injury, and he played like 62 games and he didn't qualify for all NBA, but like he could have been all NBA third team if he played three more games. He averaged almost 27, still averaging like 7, 8 rebounds, couple assists, a steal, shot 43% from three, like shot 86% from the free throw line, shot like 50 something percent from the almost most likely all NBA at age 36. Yes, he's going to turn 37 by the time of the season, but we lost 17 games in the fourth quarter with double digit leads. Like, if we won half of those games, we would have been like the fifth seed. If we won like 8 of those 17 games or 9 of those 17 games, we could have been a top 5 seed and avoided the play in. And Kevin Durant is someone that we needed, like a Kevin Durant type player, a guy who could score above 25, 26 points, who is a 3-level scorer. He's not the same 3-level scorer. He's not getting to the rim as much or the free throw line, but still, he's KD sniper for a reason. Like, if that guy is in the mid post he's going to be able to elevate still with his like 7'3", whatever it is, wingspan, and shoot over the top of most small forwards because he's still technically a small forward. So I think he would have been a perfect fit. Like thinking Dame was going to be a perfect fit next to Jimmy and Bam, assuming that if we got Dame, Tyler probably would have been gone, right? Like even though Portland didn't want him theoretically, but like thinking that would like be the perfect fit, that would have been the perfect fit. But I also think for Tyler and Bam, KD is that third perfect option. And I think it might have been a better fit than Jimmy Butler. I don't know if KD could have done the same thing Jimmy Butler did in those 5 seasons, but carrying this, undrafted squad all the way to the finals twice. But KD's a better player than Jimmy. Like it's not even really that close theoretically. But um, do you think the Heat had a real shot though at landing KD? Because like we heard the packages basically like we don't know the actual offer, but there was talks of like they didn't want Keloware Ware in any package, but they weren't willing to do a package of Jaime, Jovic, Haywood, and multiple picks. I think the issue is multiple picks because
Hmm.
obviously they're going to throw in Wiggins and Duncan for salary filler. But do you
Yeah,
think the Miami Heat actually had a real shot, or do you think they were just being used as leverage?
I do think that they had a shot. I'm not gonna say that they didn't have a shot, only because you have all the tools to go out and get that guy, especially for Miami, a team that's been in asset hell for the last decade and
Yep.
coming up into this offseason. This is like the first offseason in a long time that you've actually had some, not only like some assets like player wise, even young players, but you also have draft picks. So the fact that you have all that at your disposal and you still fall short, um, it sucks. But at the end of the day, you look around the league, you look around these teams, especially the teams that were involved, whether it was Houston, whether like the rumored Spurs, like those guys, both of those teams had better packages than Miami, in my opinion. Like they could give Phoenix what they need for the time being. Whether Phoenix decides to keep Green for the long haul or if they decide to move off of him, they can still potentially either get more front for him, or they can also like keep him along with like Devin Booker and everything, and possibly uh, build with that. But overall, man, striking out is it's not fun. But with the Heat and what they have still, at least for salary cap and everything moving forward, you still got some good stuff. But not getting Kevin Durant, it speaks volumes.
Yeah. So I guess who should they pivot to next? Like we've heard the names and it's been talked about on Twitter and on online and different podcasts. Demar, um, Jonathan Kuminga, even like Lowry Markkinen. Like obviously, none of these moves are going to be enough to make us become contenders, even in the East. They would make us more competitive, possibly, but I don't see the Miami Heat competing or contending and winning the East with the names I just mentioned. But are any of those realistic targets or smart options for the Miami Heat? Like, is there another name that might stick out that like hasn't been talked about, perhaps, or someone that has been talked about that's not on this list? Like, who would you rather pivot to?
I just see them pivoting to Demar. Um, I don't, because Miami just has this thing where when they miss out on these stars, they go after, the third, fourth choice, and it's just happened time after time. But overall, with Demar, I don't think it's a bad fit necessarily. Like, obviously, does it get you like a top four seed in the East? Probably not. Does it even get you a top six seed? That
Maybe.
maybe, but I just think that you're still in playing contention with Demar or without Demar. But I just think that that's where they pivot to next, and maybe even the guy that just got recently traded, Drew Holiday.
Oh,
That could definitely possibly be something that they might pivot to, and
yeah.
with Portland giving up what they gave up for him. They're obviously, if they are going to move off of him, which I think they should, they're probably going to want to get first round picks and whatnot for that. So we'll see what happens. Miami just they're imploding at this point. And at this point, I'd rather them stay put and just continue with the product that they have now. Because if you just pivot to anything else at this point, it's you're just not pleasing anybody.
Yeah, with um DeMar, I mean, pretty affordable in a sense. Like he has 2 years, 50 million, so he's making like 25 each, essentially somewhere around that. So not terrible. And he's 34, so I mean he's younger than KD by like 3 years. He takes really good care of his body. I just saw him like in an interview saying he's never taken a sip of alcohol in his life, which I think is insane, but good for him. He's like, I want to have a longer NBA career. Like my body's a temple. So I was like, okay. Like when I heard that, like recently, I'm like, that's kind of cool. Um, Maybe it helps with longevity, but
It
either the
helps
way,
with
like
it helps with the fourth quarter scoring as well. I mean, that's the only like thing that I can really like look at as a positive from DeMar
yeah,
is
he's clutch.
since 2020 he is the best fourth quarter scorer in the NBA. So like I mean, as much as we've had our fourth quarter implodes throughout the season, he could help with that, but I don't think it's going to be at the rate of what a KD would have done.
Yeah, I mean, he had scored 23 points, or 22 point something points per game last season. Like, but 2 years ago with the Bulls, he scored like 6 points per game. Something Tyler has never done, something Bam has never done, something Jimmy has never done. The most Jimmy's ever scored in a Heat uniform is like 22.8 points in a season. You know what I mean? It's like even DeMar at this accelerated age is still doing that. Like he's capable, but he is clutch in the fourth quarters in the regular season. That's the issue is that in the playoffs he doesn't really have a good track record, so which is not
Yeah,
great. But
100%. And I think that also goes to, somewhat of like the team around him. Like, don't get me wrong, those Bulls teams were gritty, they were grindy. And, you know, I don't think that that was still like the best fit for him. I think, you get him around guys like Bam and then, Tyler, who can kind of ease off the scoring load a little bit for him to where he doesn't have to do so much and carry so much weight. I
yeah,
think that that could definitely possibly help him, but I don't know to what extent.
he couldn't. He was a number one in Toronto, like with Kyle Lowry. Like Kyle was great in those Toronto years, but he was the number two. It was DeMar as like the number one option, and that's the issue. He's not a number one option, even at that age, in his prime. DeMar, when he was like in his mid to late 20s, he was the number one option on that team, and same with like the Spurs. He wasn't on a great Spurs team. Obviously, that was he was like on a younger Spurs team, so he didn't have the help, especially there. But I think he's more. He should have been a two. That's why, to a certain degree, maybe he hasn't had the success. But the Drew Holiday piece, like I think that's interesting. But he's 33. He has 3 years, 100 million left. Like I do
Yeah,
not want because of that. Like I don't want to be tied up and ruin our flexibility. Like if he was like
100%.
Demar and had 2 years, 50 million, 1 million%, give me Drew because then you pair him up with Tyler Hero. That's your starting point guard. You re-sign Davion, who's like a mini Drew Holiday. Then you have another playmaker, someone who could score, who's a really good defender, in Drew, and then you have like a mini light version of that in Davion, who shot really well in a Heat uniform from three, shot like 43%, which was insane. I don't know if that's sustainable, but three
Yeah,
years, 100 million is just way too much, and I don't want to give up a
it is
pick
too
for
much. Yeah.
that. So I don't even want to entertain that idea. Like even if we don't have to trade a first round pick, like trading to Terry Rozier or whoever we need to, that's we're getting rid of that expiring contract in Terry, but then we're taking on extra, 60, 70 million over the
While
next
we
two
still
years.
have the looming
God, you're
contract.
so good. How do you know this? How do you segue to this foreshadow? So perfect segue. So you don't think the Heat should do any of these kind of minor moves because it doesn't really do anything. That makes us I kind of agree. It makes us a better product possibly and a potential to be like depending on what we do. We can't just do DeMar. Like if we did DeMar, we would have to still somehow find a Bruce Brown or someone that we could also add for more depth, right? Like a backup center to Clell, where we need someone like a Steven Adams before he
You
re-signed with the
still need a
Rockets.
point guard as well. Majorly need a
Oh,
point.
that's what we majorly need, of course.
Yeah,
But there's no real point guards that are available. Is Trey Young truly
correct.
available? Like, who's really available? That's an elite playmaking point guard or a good two-way point guard. There's not many two-way point guards. We need that because if you have Tyler and like a shitty point guard, that's not a shitty point guard, but like a non-defending point guard, then that's also going to be tough. Then we're going to get hunted. But perfect segue. So if we don't really add on these and make these minor moves, we should just then focus on the future, play our young guys. See, you didn't want to trade Jovic for Kevin Durant, then let him play unless he's injured 82 games. Don't no more DMPs, no more games where he plays 15 minutes and then you pull him out and put Haywood in. Like give him 30, 40 minutes. Give Jaime 40 minutes. Give Kalel 40 minutes. Like you have to see what we have, right? You have to let these guys develop. And if that's the case, then the looming issue is Tyler Hero's extension. So are we going to give Tyler Hero that extension where he's going to get now 4 years? Because we didn't give it to him this summer yet. I don't think we're going to give it to him until this October before the season starts. We have a window to give him a 3 year 150. So it's still 50 an average per year. If we wait till next season and off season, then it goes up to 4 years now. He could actually be eligible for four, same amount, 50 million per year. So it's 200 million versus the 150. So my question to you is Tyler Hero worth a max extension? And should the Miami Heat do that again? If again we're going young, we're trying to develop, we're not really competing, we're a perennial playing team. Should they do that? Or the other question is Tyler Hero's trade value enough to net you a key piece this summer or next summer? Like what can we get? Should we trade Tyler Hero to get more assets? What are your thoughts on both those? That extension.
So Tyler Hero and the max extension, I do not like it whatsoever, strictly because I don't think he's worth the max amount of dollars that you're willing to pay a max player. And, while everybody gripes about Bam's contract and everything, and, understandably so, he had a down, like, half a year for us. And then obviously in the playoffs didn't show up either. But at the end of the day, you're willing to pay two players that like if you don't think one player deserves that, yet you're a top 10 defense every single year. He's doing his job on one end, and we're bottom 10 offense every single year. And people are saying, well, if you get rid of Tyler, you're getting rid of the offense and the guy that drives the engine for the offense. Like, how much worse is this offense really going to get at this point in time? Like, you've been bottom 10 in pace, you've been bottom 10 in scoring production for decade. It's it's not to, just solely Tyler's fault, but at the end of the day, when you're talking about paying him 150 million over 3 years, if you were to sign him this year, and then like obviously if you Tyler is a kid that's going to work hard, and at the end of the day, if you don't pay him now, he will go forward looking to get paid, and he's definitely a guy that's going to be able to have a season like he did, as long as he stays healthy, obviously, and especially with the fact, Jimmy was in a big part of this last year, and then all like while that was all going on, you saw Tyler flourish as the number one scoring option for the Miami Heat. He had an All Star season, but at the end of the day, it's not gonna lead you to a championship, and it's not gonna lead you to a top 15 offense paying that kid 150 million. I don't think it's the right idea, but at the end of the day, if it's what I think, then obviously we shouldn't do it. What is he worth? Definitely can get a bevy of first round picks, in my opinion. You can definitely get upwards to 3 to 4 at the least. in my opinion. And whether you get some young players, however you want to reshape the roster, when you trade a kid like that, you figure it out after that. But paying two guys that, if a lot of people say that aren't worth the max money, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And your offense, it can not get any worse, in my opinion. Also, like, I just don't understand that part.
Yeah, I mean, he's just too much of a liability on defense. I'm not going to worry about his offense because he carried our offense last year. I don't think it's his fault. We didn't have enough firepower around him. We didn't have any other playmakers around him, like to set up his teammate. Like we didn't have a point guard. We haven't had a point like a real point guard in a while. So I don't think it's his fault that our offense has been a bottom 10 offense and bottom 3 in scoring for the last 3 seasons in a row, averaging 109 when everybody's scoring 115, 116, 118 points per game. So my issue though with him is availability. He's done good 1 year. Like he's
Mhm.
obviously improved. Obviously, he's still
Yeah,
young, 25. He has the potential, but how much better can he honestly get at this point? I don't think he can get exponentially better. I think he's probably closer to a finished product. Like you never know, he can make a leap, but it's like it's rare where a guy makes a leap
I don't
at
think
year
it's going to
7.
be at the trajectory of what a
A
max
superstar.
player should look like.
Of a
So,
superstar, all NBA guy. Yeah, I don't think so either.
but in this day and age, also, it's the money is obviously different as well. So, like, what the Heat themselves as an organization, what they're probably fixing to do is probably pay him, and it's going to send everybody in a frenzy. And while you can be upset about it, at the end of the day, that's what you're going to have to work with. And if you can just get a guy that can set these guys up for success, like a real point guard, a real facilitator, a guy that's going to calm down the offense and actually draw like at least attention off of Tyler and others, then you can actually work with it. But I don't, I'm just saying it doesn't, it's not going to lead you to a championship with Tyler as
And
your
Bam.
main scoring option. And then
And Bam.
obviously, Bam has been up and down throughout his seasons, when it comes to scoring. But overall, just his contract extension is upcoming. So it's like you may as well get ahead of, the curve and see what's out there. At least listen at this point. That's all I can ask.
Yeah, I mean you have to test the market. Got or Desmond Bain got 4 picks,
Yeah.
right?
Five.
So they're pretty comparable players essentially, and so they're different types of players, but still, if he can get 4, I think Tyler can get 3. I think there's a different perception with Tyler around the league, but we'll see. I mean, I think this offseason he can get like 2 to 3. I think if he continues to grow or at least play and become an all-star, not become an all-star, get the all-star nod for the second time in a row, average 23, 24 a game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. I can see then Tyler, and he's healthy, he plays 70 games. Then I could see next offseason him going for 3, 4 picks. So we have to test it to see what we can get in return. I think his contract is the perfect contract right now. He's making 30 million this next season and he
Mhm.
makes like 33. Like that's what he's worth, I think. If he plays as an all-star again next season, then I think he deserves a raise. And instead of 33, whatever it is for that second year, maybe he should get 37 and then the following year 40 and then maybe 42, something like that over 3 years instead of 150, something like at 110, million. I think that's more logical. Unless again he takes this crazy leap next season, then maybe he deserves that, right? If he averages like 27
Right.
points a game, he's like a Devin Booker esque type player. He still has that opportunity. But if I look at his playoff stats, he's not a playoff riser. He's a playoff decliner, and that's his biggest knock too. Besides availability during the regular season, outside of last season, the only season where he ever played 70 games or more. The most he ever played before that was like 65 or whatever it was. But Tyler, if you look at his stats in the playoffs, 14.6 points per game, um, playoffs, he shoots
Yeah.
41% from the field and 32% from three. Like that's not good enough offensively because on the opposite end, we see what happens. He gets hunted on defense. And so that is not good enough. You need to be Steph Curry like when it comes to your scoring, Luka Doncic like when it comes to your scoring, Jalen Brunson like when it comes to your scoring, because those guys are not good defenders that I
You just
mentioned.
have to make up for it at
You have
the
to
end of
make
the
up
day.
for it on playmaking and scoring. Like he needs to be like a Trey Young, Tyler. You need to average 25 points. You need to up your assist, even though he's not a point guard. I'm not expecting that, but you got to like improve in that. If you're getting blitzed and double team, he needs to make reads better and set up his teammates. Get rid of that ball quickly because he did get blitzed and double team for the first time in his career, and he
Yeah.
still became an all star. So kudos to him. But when you look at his playoff series against the Cavs, yes, he had two good games, even though we lost by 21 and 9 in the first two games. In Cleveland, he had 21 points and 33 points. Then the two games in Miami, where we lost by 37 and 55, he had 13 points and 4 points. Like, not
Yeah.
good enough. Like, that is someone that doesn't deserve a max contract. Like, 4 points in a closeout home game, like that's just not acceptable in my
Yeah,
opinion.
for me, it's just a lot of like the people that want to say that he does deserve to get paid, which in general, like when you're playing like with the way Tyler was playing in the regular season and you're scoring the way you're scoring, obvious, and you get an all-star nod on top of that, you deserve to get paid to an extent. But what for just for me when it comes down to Tyler, it's always came down to his playoff performances, and you can only probably name three solid playoff performances that the kid has had throughout his career, and the rest are just he's kind of almost non-existent sometimes, and it's frustrating, for guys that want him to like continue to be on this team and continue to be a spark for the offense, if you will. But at the end of the day, Tyler, just the drop off that goes from the regular season to the postseason is just way too alarming. And then on top of it, the defensive deficiencies are just screaming that it you don't deserve that type of deal.
Especially in the playoffs, because that's when they play hopefully 110%, right? There's probably nights where some players play like 80% in the regular
He
season,
had
but
a
then
very, very healthy season this year. I don't want that to go unnoticed because that was one of the big knocks I had against Tyler going into last season, and he proved me wrong by
same.
every stretch of the imagination for that year. So, like, I definitely give him kudos on that. But again, with the playoff like lows, like it's just way too much to tell me like this guy deserves to be paid 150 million.
Yeah, and to me, it's like, can you make the players around you better? Can you contribute to winning? Can you help the Miami Heat hold and sustain 17 quarter leads, which you blew? Like, it's not all on Tyler. It's not all on Tyler, but guess what? Who's the number one player basically on this team today? Like offensively, for sure, Tyler Hero. Who's our top two players on this team? Him and Bam in general. Bam's our most important player. I think he's our best all around player. Tyler is number two. It's on leadership. Like your top guys need to take accountability. Like, yes, you don't have the best pieces around you. You don't have a superstar, but Tyler, you think you're in the same category as Jaw and Luca and all that stuff, and you prove to be better, and you stayed on the floor for 70 plus games this season, which was amazing. But you didn't contribute to winning. You guys were 8 games below 500. Like superstars, real all stars, help their team find ways to win. And it wasn't all on him again, but the Miami Heat in general, and he's one of the leaders, found ways to lose in new goddamn ways. We saw last year, like even Coach Spo contributed with the whole timeout debacle in Detroit. But like we just found new ways to lose games, and that's what a losing team does, right? And we only beat the 50 or the 500 and below teams. Any team that was above 500 we lost to a mediocre team. So like if you want to get paid like that, then you need to help us get better and improve, right? Like you're part of the solution. You are the strategy, you and Bam, like, and they're not good enough, honestly. So it's like we're stuck in this like purgatory where our two max guys are not two options or one and two options. I think they're both third options on a winning team. I think Tyler could be a number two option. I think Bam needs to be a three, like the third option
Yeah.
on
I
a winning
mean,
team. I
I
think
I get
Tyler
you.
also is, though. I still think they're both. We have two number three options on this team. I don't think they're both even a number two.
Yeah. I mean, from an offensive standpoint, Tyler could definitely reach number two levels,
Yes,
but
but not
from
overall. He's never going to be
all
overall good enough
overall
to be the
standpoint,
two.
I understand what you're saying. And then on top of it, please stop with the play-in stuff. Just because the guy scores 30 in the play-in, it doesn't mean that he's going to be this all playoff type of guy. It's I'm tired of that. I'm tired of that narrative. Like the play-in and playoffs are different, and yes, while you got your team there through the play-in, you did well. You got to show up in the playoffs when it matters, and he didn't do that.
Yeah,
So
it's a single
that's where I'm
elimination.
at.
Playing's dumb. It's like a single elimination, and you're like, depending on what seed you are, you're playing the ninth and 10th seed who freaking theoretically suck historically without a play in. Top eight make it. 9 and 10 and on usually suck. They're usually well below 500. And so it's like, wow, you beat the Bulls and the Hawks or whoever, the Hornets, one of those types of teams. You beat them in a single elimination game to make the playoffs. Like, whoopie doo. That's not a real playoffs. Like, playoffs, like, are in those 7 game series,
Yes.
and that's what tells basically. I mean, sure, it's winning the play in is important. It's tough. Obviously, it's a 1 game elimination. They're trying super hard, but like that's one game. Anything can happen in one game. So anyway, glad we had a chance to talk. Obviously, about the off season, Tyler Hero, Kevin Durant. It's a long off season. It just started essentially today, first day of the off season, basically. So
Right.
would love to have you on, obviously, in the future as we have a full summer of content that we need to make. So if there's any other rumors or speculation, would love to have you back on, to talk about some trades that can help improve this team potentially. But before we do hop off, do you want to let the audience know again where they can find you online?
Yeah, just follow me on X at dfarrell15. You can also follow the content that I post on our network at Playbook SN, Playbook Sports. Appreciate you again for having me on, Amir. It's always a good time, and I can't wait to do it again.
Awesome. Thanks again.